Welcome back to another Battlefront update. After days and days of delays, DICE has not only pushed out their Lightsaber combat rework community transmission, but also the final patch note list for the overall update. Considering no one ain't got time to watch separate videos on the two, I'll just Frankenstein them together for the sake of time and pick out the most notable stuff to cover here. And as always, I'll leave a link straight to the community transmission in the video description below, so you can check out everything else in detail for yourself if needed. But first up is the Lightsaber Combat Rework Transmission. Now the lightsaber is a lethal tool that requires a tempered mind and a skilled body to wield, not to mention prowess with the Force. With a lot of player feedback, DICE have updated lightsaber combat, including stamina changes, to provide an overall better player experience. Now, one of the most visible changes to lightsaber combat itself is going to come in the form of the removal of the stagger for attacking heroes. In the current version of the game, when a hero attacks a blocking hero, the attacker will stagger backwards. DICE, in response to this, has seen the feedback and how this is not desired in any way for the community, and they agree. DICE also feels that this breaks the flow of lightsaber combat, which is usually free-flowing like in the movies. With this change, attacking heroes will no longer stagger backwards upon hitting a blocking hero, meaning they can continue to chain attacks until they run out of stamina. Now, attacking with a lightsaber depletes a hero's stamina, and once that reaches 0, the attacker will not be able to perform any attacks until their stamina regenerates. As a result of this, attacking will now be a lot more strategic, as you'll be unable to run up to someone and continuously swing your lightsaber at them. Instead, you'll now need to think a little bit more about utilizing your other abilities alongside lightsaber attacks. As well to this, blocking with a lightsaber also reduces a hero's stamina, meaning that nobody will be able to block indefinitely. While all heroes have had changes made to their stamina values, DICE have also made additional changes to Darth Maul, Rey, and Darth Vader. Firstly, Darth Maul's attacks will now have a stamina cost associated with them. DICE will also be adjusting the unlimited stamina abilities of both Rey with her Insight ability and Darth Vader with his Focused Rage. These now will result in a 50% reduction in stamina costs, which could prove pretty big in the face of battle. Now for the stamina overview itself, where things get a little bit tricky. As part of the changes DICE are adjusting to the stamina values for every lightsaber wielding hero in the game, the new stamina system is broken down into 6 separate categories: melee cost, blaster deflect cost, melee deflect cost, regen delay, regen speed, and deflect spread. Melee cost will be the amount of stamina required for each swing of the lightsaber. Blaster deflect cost will be how much stamina is reduced with the deflection of each blaster shot. Melee deflect is the cost of the amount of stamina per lightsaber hit that is reduced. Regen delay is how many seconds before stamina regeneration begins to occur. Regen speed is the speed in how stamina regenerates, and lastly, deflect spread is the angle in which lightsaber heroes can deflect blaster fire. Now remember, stamina itself is largely reduced when defending, so either when a hero blocks a lightsaber attack of their own lightsaber or they block blaster fire of the lightsaber. And when a hero is out of stamina, they'll no longer be able to attack, meaning they'll have to first wait for it to recharge before they can begin an attack. To add to that, you'll also no longer be able to block efficiently if you have no stamina, as any hero that does get hit by an attack, which will bring their stamina to 0, will receive full damage and cause to stagger. With that said, each hero will of course play differently and have different stamina stats. So to give you a good idea, DICE have prepared a full hero stamina breakdown. Now some heroes can block less and attack more, and vice versa. Not to mention that for some, there shouldn't be that much of a surprise given how much more stamina will cost for them to block. Although I can see quite a few bit of people not being thrilled with the fact that Darth Maul's stamina requirements are pretty high, which I agree isn't great if you're playing as him. However, on the flip side, at least now you'll actually be able to block with him, unlike before where you couldn't. And I'm only saying that based on the fact that he's got stamina blocking stats in this chart. DICE really haven't said outright that Maul will now be able to block, but seeing as they did include such blocking stats for him, then you can only assume that is the case, that he can now block, but yeah. So this is something we'll have to find out for ourselves tomorrow when the actual update drops. Lastly, DICE have also provided another overview chart for all the heroes, with this time focusing on their own specific stat of values on base and max damage. along with the type of base and max damage they'll inflict from behind. Again, this is a little confusing as we don't really know the specifics of when and how heroes can inflict max damage to someone versus only the minimal base damage. However, if anything, it would most likely be the case if the opponent is stunned and unable to properly defend themselves, which is where there is a high possibility of max damage that could be applied. But that'll just about do it for the Lightsaber rework update. Unfortunately, DICE didn't apply any actual changes to Saber Stun and Lock, but I'll be pretty curious to try out the stamina and stagger changes that they did apply to make the lightsaber combat more realistic, which no matter how you slice it will make a difference, especially in heroes versus villains. We also have the full details of everything included in tomorrow's update, which yes, Count Dooku will be getting his exquisite pajama appearance if you happen to forget. And the new area, Geonosis Trippa Hive, will also be added as a new map to Hero Showdown, which is nice. There are also full patch notes for the new buffs and nerfs for a lot of the heroes, which I won't really be covering in this video. But again, I'll leave a link for it below so you can check it out for yourself. Instead, I'll want to quickly go over some of the things for Capital Supremacy and answer a few questions about it, as even though we know a lot about the mode already, there are still some things we don't know that much about, until now. And the answers for these are a bit harder to find than, say, the hero nerfs and buffs, which is why I'm giving more priority to that here. But first, I did want to point out that the actual community transmission today did state that the mode will be getting further map support in coming updates. Meaning, yes, we will be seeing more maps for Capital Supremacy in the coming months, which is great news. But unfortunately, for the time being, we'll just have to stick it out with one map, and we'll have to see how that will go. Again, it's all gonna depend on just how much fun the mode itself really is. If the mode itself is meh, then yeah, it's gonna get old pretty quickly just by playing Geonosis on every single game. But for now, we can't really give an opinion until we actually play the mode. Now, a big question I've seen floating around is if you could pick captured command posts to spawn on in Capital Supremacy, just like you could in the original games. And unfortunately, the answer to this is no. Jay Ingram stated that, at least on release, players will only be able to spawn on the squad spawn screen like every other mode. So that's quite the downer, at least for me, but I don't know. I guess it's a feature that DICE thought that players didn't particularly want and they didn't include it. Which in my opinion couldn't be farther from the truth, but let's continue. Next is about vehicles. Yes, there will be vehicles available to be used on Geonosis in Capital Supremacy. However, only the speeders, AAT and the AT-RT will be usable. The actual ATTs and starfighters will not be available in this mode, which in all honesty is disappointing once again, as this mode is supposed to be a large-scale sandbox experience, and with such limitations, it's not really that much of a sandbox as it should be. And regarding the actual capital ship takedown, that will only be a cutscene. And although not answered in this tweet, Jay also mentioned that troops getting transported to the capital ship will also be a cutscene as well, and not something done in real time. Next, while we knew the clone transport would be the LAT, we also now know that the droid transport will be the HMP gunship. And pretty interestingly along with this, both the MTT and the Dreadnought, and the AATs and the Staps on the ground level will also have their proper Clone Wars Separatist skins. That was always a small nitpick I've had about them since release, so better late than never on DICE finally adding them to the game. It'll be kind of nice now actually to feel like that we're battling the Separatists as a whole and not just the Trade Federation like before. Last but not least, about the size of the Geonosis map for Capital Supremacy. Jay did confirm that it will be smaller than the Galactic Assault version due to the multiple phases that one has. But he did also say that it alone is larger than any of the separate Galactic Assault phases. So this will either be good or bad news for some people depending on how big they want the map to be. Personally, again, I'm not thrilled with this, but I'll have to see how it all plays before making an opinion. And yeah, that will just about cover what I really wanted to go over. Aside from there being able to be 4v4 heroes at once allowed at any given time in Capital Supremacy, I'd say I'm still very keen to try out this mode already. Sure, despite a lot of the missing and disappointing elements of it, I can still see it being quite fun. and with potential improvements and maps down the road, then yeah, why not? There's at least a lot of potential for it, no one can deny that. Oh, and to remind everyone, I will be doing a long stream of Capital Supremacy both on my YouTube and Twitch channel tomorrow. So yeah, if you want to stop by and say hi, then I'll be more than happy to see you there. But that'll do it for this Battlefront update. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel to not only support it, but keep up with Star Wars news, gaming, and canon lore released every week. And consider following me on Twitter and Facebook to never miss out on the latest Star Wars related content. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.